Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here. We are on the dev server. That's right, no more exclusive test server footage. This, from now on, will be dev server footage. If you look in the top right, you'll see version 1.57.1.6. What we're looking at right now is a Dornier 335A0. Battle rating 5.3. Max speed 357 kilometers per hour at sea level. Max altitude 8,500 meters, blah, blah, blah. You can check all of that stuff. So let's go over all the new things that are on the dev server, at least at this point. Now, please keep in mind, everything is subject to change. Oftentimes, flight models are in placeholders, especially in the earliest iterations of the dev server. So definitely keep that in mind. Like, oh, this thing drives like this. Oh, this thing flies like that. Well, I mean, it's probably based off another aircraft. That's just how the dev server goes. So I think you guys should look at this. Excuse me, I started sounding like Batman. But I think you guys should look at this as just like a new plane and new tank porn. I mean, it's gratuitous imagery of stuff that you've been excited to see. So in that respect. Anyway, so the Dornier 335A0. Battle rating of 5.3. Let's take a look at the modifications. It's got 3 cannons, 2 20s, and 1 30. I wonder if you have HVAPs. Oh, it's got the HVAPs, ladies and gentlemen. This thing could be fun. It won't be as good as the ME410B6R3 with respect to how many rounds it has, but this thing can knock out tanks and do decently well at shooting vehicles. Now, if you want to look at any statistic, like when I hover over this, please feel free to press pause to check any stats that you want. I'll be kind of going over it. So the 20s, we have defaults, universals, air targets, armored targets, tracers, and stealth, pretty standard all around. The 30s, the German HVAP 30s are pretty awesome at attacking ground. I made a video about the A10 Warthog of War Thunder. Check that out if you'd like to see those things in action. So let's see. We've also got the Dornier 335A1 with a 5.7 BR. Now we'll go into modifications here and take a look at it. 400 rounds of 20 millimeter and 70 rounds of 30. You've got the HVAP 30s again. You can take some bombs with this one. I thought you were going to be able to put on maybe some gun pods. It does not look like that. Now, there was a third Dornier 335 that was a premium. It doesn't look like that's on the dev server at this point. Cursory glance, it looks like the Germans only have the Dornier 335s in the flight tree. Oh, we've got a Panzerjäger 1. Look at this little shit. Oh, this thing's great. Okay, so it is armed with a 47 millimeter pack. Tier 1. Let's look at the armor. Take a look at the armor. So the top 14 millimeters. Ooh, might just be able to stop 50 caliber bullets. The rest 13 millimeters. Looks like it is a Panzer I chassis here. That's pretty cool though. Like this is kind of like the first surprise that we've seen so far. There's going to be more surprises, honestly. I've even seen a few when I was casually looking at the tech tree. So there's your armor layout right there. Now I like to look at modifications, kind of show off the rounds we get. We got Panzergranat 40s, so it does have APCR rounds with amazing penetration, truly. And I don't even think you'd really need over the APCs, armor piercing cap shells. Look at that pen at 500 meters, 90 degree slope of attack, almost 80 millimeters of penetration. That truly at tier 1. Let's see what the battle rating 1.7. Ladies and gentlemen, a German glass sniper cannon, tier 1 Panzerjäger 1. You got tracks, filters, engines. You've got your pretty standard upgrades. All right, so now we'll go back to that tree where we have the Nashorn, not to be confused with the Nashorn, where you pronounce the S twice because there's not 2 S's there. Baron, I learned, don't worry. So we've got the Dicker Max at a battle rating of 4.3 with its 105 millimeter main gun. Now, for some odd reason, I thought that the Dicker Max would be a higher BR than the Nashorn. Because it does have an 88 and this has a 105, but I would imagine if we look at the penetration, let's take a look at the preview, take a look at the armor. without the armor. Look how gorgeous she is. She? He? Well, Dicker Max is most definitely a male. Weird. Alright. He's got these two derpy eyes. This one's open. What up, dude? I got punched in the eye. Anyway, enough of that. 50 millimeters at the max, kind of on the gun mantlet here and these flat sections. So if we look at X-ray real quick, oh yeah, that's the place to shoot, right in that little lower corner. You might hit the ammo and kill two crew members at the same time. So armor, very open on the side, very open to aerial strafing from above. Ladies and gentlemen, Air Dicker Max. Battle rating 4.3. Oh yeah. Now we got to look at modifications to get a feel for penetration. We've got armor piercing cap, ballistic cap, so pretty good fragmentation. Pretty high, like over 150 millimeters of penetration at 90 and 60 degrees, up to 500 meters. So that's fairly good. And it's a very big round, so once it pens, it's likely to knock them out the box. It's pretty standard upgrade, nothing too unique or special or new there. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is Dicker Max. Sturr Emil. Now let's look at the Nashorn. The Nashorn. Look at that 88. Very, very long, so it's going to have it's going to have very high muzzle velocity, very high penetration. That's why even though it's a smaller diameter of a round in a gun, hey guys, I told you I'd be back. Look how they even look like eyes. It's like they knew what they were doing, man. They made him so derpy looking. Okay. It's going to have just better penetration, and I bet we'll check that out. However, look at this glass cannonry, man. This thing can get chewed up by maybe even light machine guns, like 30 cal machine guns from the side is possible, but definitely 50 cal machine guns, and from the top. But yeah, this thing's gonna be able to get knocked out relatively easy. It is a glass cannon at the very definition of that name. So battle rating 5.0 relative to the Dicker Max, which is at 4.7. Let's take a look at your penetration abilities. We've got HE rounds, heat rounds, Panzer Granat 40-43s for APCR, and then we've got armor piercing cap, ballistic cap 39-43s. Holy crap, that is fantastic penetration for just a slight increase in BR. This 88 definitely has better penetration. Remember that the Dicker Max was produced in 1941. This is obviously a picture of the Nashorn, so don't get them confused. I've got 30 millimeters of armor on my face. Well, everywhere else you're pretty much wrecked. So never shoot the lower glacis. You'll still pen it, but you don't need to. 30, and so it's got 45 millimeters at its strongest, where the tracks overlap the lower glacis. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is Dicker Max. Let's see what else we've got on the German tech tree. I may miss something. If I do, please feel free to holler it out in the comments. So now we've got the Tiger II SLA. Basically, I call it King Diesel, and that's because it's a Tiger II with a diesel engine, so it's a little bit quicker. I don't think it's really worth like going in and be like, all right, let's see how fast it is, you know, because could be placeholder models, honestly. Placeholder flight and tank models, we'll call them tank models. But look at these tracks. All right, so armor, you've got these 30 millimeters of tracks on top of 80 millimeters on the side. Remember how it was 50, and then 185 in the front. These tracks are everywhere. Ooh, that one's even kind of sloped. Very nice. So much greater chance of survivability when getting shot in and around the turret area on the King Diesel right here. 150 millimeters of frontal armor on that 50-degree slope. But, oh, look at that. Even the turret ring is 80 millimeters. So from the rear sides, 40 millimeters from the top. Remember those HVAP 30s? Pop, 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 pop. Just imagine hitting this thing 4 times from above with those. But then that would be Germans versus Germans. So yeah, this is battle rating 6.7. It is a premium. I wonder if they have the cost for it right now. It is a bundle tank. We can't really see what it is. There is no French Char B1 premium. It's a sad day. with regards to French tanks, but a happy day with regards to dev server footage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see what we have on the Americans. We should have a new tank, the T-26E4, the Super Pershing. Remember, only one of these was made. However, it is in the main tech tree, right behind the Jumbo 76. So it's got a battle rating of 6.7. Everything's subject to change. T-32 battle rating 7.3. So let's take a look at the preview here. Battle rating 6.7. Look at this bad boy. Now there's going to be really interesting to check out the armor. It's morning where I'm at, and I think like that's affecting the lighting. Could be a little better. All right, so 38 millimeters of steel on top of 101 millimeters. Mother trucker, this is insane. That's 2 plates? I didn't know it was 2 plates. Do not shoot this in the upper glacis. Don't shoot it in the lower glacis. I can't even see the lower one. Dude, this is an insane vehicle. Here we go. We're going to find it. We will find you and bring you to justice. Oh my gosh. This will be super Pershing. 80 millimeters of frontal armor. This is the Panther part. Gun manlet, 114 and rounded. Shooting at this thing, oh my gosh, from the front is going to just be a pain in the butt. 38 millimeters of kind of spaced armor here. So diffusing heat rounds since, I don't know, 1944, 1945. However, the side of the turret, but you know, if you flank a tank, come on, you're gonna be able to shoot it in the weaker spots. But from the front, this thing is wildly impressive. These are the torpedo launchers. Haha, no sarcasm there, I promise. This thing's wildly impressive with its armor. The turret ring seems relatively vulnerable in certain spots, maybe. Not really. There's no like wildly weak spot that stands out right there. It's all very complicated. So now let's take a look at the modifications, get a feel for the shots. It should be relatively similar to the T-32 and the Pershing. Armor piercing shot. You've got high explosive shots, which when do you ever really use those? We need infantry to shoot at. Sorry guys, that was I'm not sorry I said that. Armor piercing cap, ballistic cap shells, M82s, and T-44 shots. Feel free to pause and take a look at the stats for those. You've got a 30 cal machine gun and a 50 cal machine gun on it as well, so that's always fun for shooting at planes and shooting at infantry, which we need more infantry to shoot at. Thank you. So now let's take a look back at the tech tree. So let's see here. Everything else appears to be in order. Ooh, now we're gonna get to the good stuff. The P61A1. Now I thought there was gonna be 2 or 3 of these. We see 2 on the tech tree, one at 3.7 and one at 4.3. This will actually be a very fun battle rating for this thing to go out and fly and destroy stuff. So I'm very excited for that. So let's take a look at the preview here. Look at the armor. Ooh, 60 millimeters of bulletproof glass, and then 12.7 millimeter plates. And then there's these 9.7s. Interesting. So we'll turn that off so you can get a better view for it. This is the independent turret with 450 caliber machine guns. We've got the 420s, 1, 2 right there, 3, 4 right there. So this is where you blaze from, ladies and gentlemen. My God, is it a gorgeous aircraft. Now, there are definitely some weak spots to attack it from the lower section. Oh my gosh, it's time to wake up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank God I woke up early today. Woke up before my alarm. Let's give a round of applause for Baron for being a responsible human being. And back to the P61. So, we'll take a look at the modifications. For the 50 caliber rounds, you've got armor piercing incendiary tracers. Well, just a few mixed with armor piercing rounds. If they were APITs, man, that turret on the top would just be absolutely beast. So at this point, excuse me, there's only 3 belts for it. Default rounds, because of those just incendiaries and just tracer bullets. You don't really want those. This seems decent. Armored targets and universal. Universal is definitely the best one, in my opinion. So for the 420s blazing out there, what kind of rounds do we got? We got default rounds, universal rounds, ground targets, and stealth. So this one, the A1 cannot carry any bombs. keep that in mind. So now let's take a look at the C1 Charlie 1, P61 Charlie 1. And where are you at, big boy? Looks a little... Looks very similar. It's like the same plane. Oh, pretty much. Let's look at the modifications. Because this one can carry secondary weapons. It looks like you've got 4,000 pounds of bombs. Wow. 4 1,000s. Goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see if there's any difference in the shells or bullets. No, there are not. So 4,000 pounds of bombs is pretty serious. That's what makes this plane such an interesting one. You can fly around in direct fire with your 420s. Your 50 cals can indirectly fire at other aircraft, and then you can drop bombs, so you can engage multiple targets, which I find to be incredibly fun in this game, especially RB tank and plane games. So that is the P61C1. Moving on out. Not seeing anything else pop up right now. We've looked at we looked at the Dornier 335s at the beginning, and the German tank destroyers and King Diesel there. So now onwards to the Russians. There are no new aircraft that are jumping out at me right now. I was kind of expecting a flying boat, not gonna lie. Now, when I logged in, the Russian tree did pop up first. PT-76 hype? Just kidding. So here's the T-44-100, battle rating 7.0. Now let's just take a look at this bad boy, right? Oh, look at that little bit of armor. 6 millimeters of thickness, ladies and gentlemen. So heat rounds from the side will not be as effective. Like I said, I think this is a grinder tank. But you know what? You can watch the video on it to get my full theories on it. So armor, pretty decent. You gotta love the rounded turrets of the Soviet tanks, and those frontal slopes are just absolutely beast. Especially when trying to shoot it like here. Look at that. 170 millimeters of effectiveness, and then you can like, whoa, 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 whoa. That was just unnecessary in ADT. Anyway, so now let's look at modifications, get a feel for the shells. Feel free to pause at any time to get a feel for the millimeters of penetration on these things. BR-412s, APHEs, APHEBC, the rounds that everybody hates getting hit with but loves to fire, let's be honest. Those are the one-hit wonders. APC-BCs, and then APCRs, and then you've got HE rounds, which we need infantry to shoot at. Sorry. I'm not sorry. Alright, so all around, nothing too crazy. You can get artillery support. It is a medium tank after all. Battle rating 7.0, rank 4. So when looking at the tech tree, it falls right before the T-54-1947, which a lot of people are saying is just flat out easy mode. So it's kind of a grinder tank you have to get before you get to easy mode. And here's a surprise. Here's the second surprise that we've seen on the dev server, other than, I guess it would be Zapanza Jaeger 1, is this bad boy. It's got twin 23s, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look. Nope, twin 25s. The 94 KM ZIS 12. You've got your default rounds, excuse me. You've got your let's shoot at plane rounds, and you've got your let's shoot kind of at tanks. Decent penetration, 30 to 40. So the BR is really key here. 3.3, pretty impressive. This is something that we are going to have to test drive and get a feel for how it shoots. Just like we want to get a feel for fire rate, recoil, all that kind of stuff. You saw the penetration right there, albeit briefly. Ooh, baby. Actually, you know what? Before I shoot it at a damn Panzer II. Oh! Okay, so we saw the reload rate. 14 rounds, so 7 rounds per gun before it reloads. Damn, this thing's awesome. Alright, I love SPA, it's fun. Wrecked. Look how good I am, guys. Okay, Panzer. Just hit the track. I didn't really pick rounds, so I think every other round is a round that's good for aerial targets. So it's a pretty cool truck. The recoil is pretty awesome on these guns. And every now and then they'll simultaneous fire, but sometimes they kind of offset fire. When you hold it down, you'll see the barrels moving slightly different. Oh yeah, you hear it? Listen. Kind of near the end when you hold down the tracks. Now, the ammo, the magazine on this is only 14 rounds. So if it had more rounds, you'd have a higher likelihood of kind of that offset firing, the staccato fire, which is pretty interesting. So moving on from the 94K M Zis 12. Let's see what we got. T-44-100. Let's go to aviation. Double check. I just thought for sure we'd have a Russian flying boat, the MBR, I think it was called. Moving on to the Brits, we've got the Sunderland. Oh my gosh, this thing is just a flying boat. It truly is. Look at this. 2 floors, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get a feel for it. It does not have the 50 caliber machine guns on it. I know there was a version with 2 50 cals and the rest were 7.7s. We get the gloriously British 7.7 millimeter defensive armament, which is just garbage. We do have forward firing abilities for 7.7 millimeter machine guns. Let's take a look at where those are right here. You can see them flushed in nicely right here with the nose of this bad boy, right above the gunner, which is an AI gunner. So this AI gunner could be firing off. You can fire 6 guns forward, 4 in your direct control, 2 in the AI control. Here is one of the turrets right here, and here are 4 7.7s. If those were 4 50 cals, man, in the back, this thing would be incredibly good at shooting from the rear. But you can see there are an amazing amount of weaker areas that you could come and shoot this. Look at this. This apparently dispelled heat. Very unique looking. Looks like a mace of sorts. So there's a lot of weak spots in this thing. And you can see where the bombs pop out right here. So looking at the modifications, how much ordnance can this carry? It looks like 2,000 pounds of ordnance. You can have 4 500s or 8 250s. So I'm actually surprised you get 500s because I know relatively small bombs pop out right under the wings. You've got default, universal, tracer, and stealth rounds for your offensive 7.7s. Default, armor targets, and universals for the defensive 7.7 millimeter machine guns. This guy right up here, that is such a unique looking turret. It is, I'll just dare to say it is quintessentially British. But this is an absolutely beautiful aircraft. I'm just wondering how good it's going to be at dealing with any enemy incoming interceptors and fighters and bomber killers, because it's going to be a high time. But battle rating of 1.7 means this thing, oh, you know what? Screw this, man. This is amazing. Screw what comes up. Battle rating 1.7, this is going to be absolutely great. You're going to have low tier planes charging this thing. It'll be like the PBY Catalina. Also battle rating 1.7. You're a much bigger target, but that means you're a much bigger bullet sponge, and there's not too many planes at that battle rating, or there's not many at all, that have cannons, much less 50 caliber machine guns. So you're defending yourself with 30 cals, and for the most part, you're getting shot at with 30 cals. But let's be honest, you're a frickin' bullet sponge. Alright, so we've got the Sea Venom. I put up a video of that. This is a battle rating of 9.0, ladies and gents. This is quite... What is that? We have 3 millimeters of steel on the undercarriage here. Interesting. No bulletproof glass or anything modified in there, or at least modeled in. Modified. What in the tits? So we'll look at the rounds. We got default, universal, air targets, ground targets, tracers, and stealth rounds. No bombs to be carried. Oh, correction. We can carry bombs and rockets. Alright. I'm surprised that they didn't have a little pop-up right there. Anyway, so that is the Sea Venom. I've got footage on most of these. There'll be links in the video description below if you want to get a closer look at any of these. Plus, let me know which vehicle you want me to drive and fly out first, and we will get on that right away. So the Sunderland and the Sea Venom. Let's see for the British tanks if we've got anything new. We've got Mr. Conway, battle rating 7.0. We'll take a look at a preview for this. Oh my. Not much armor for BR 7.0, but look at this gun. It's almost like it's kind of reminiscent of the Soviet box tank, the Su-100. Wow. All right, let's take a look at the rounds. So it's got sabot rounds, armor-piercing, discarding sabot shells, and Hesh rounds. So there's no heat rounds or fin-stabilized heat rounds, but look at the pen on that thing. But with sabot rounds, you kind of have to be very surgical with where you shoot. But this is apparently the IS Killer, battle rating 7.0. So moving on, that appears to be everybody. No French premium tanks for the British. I'm not sure why. Where's our French tanks? Gotta always plug that whenever I can, because that's what I want to do. Let's see. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where's that flying boat? H6K. I'm looking for the flying boat, ladies and gents. We might not have it, but I know we've got the Key 83 somewhere in here. Here we go. Here's the Key 83. I'm not seeing the flying boat. That's a shame. I'm pretty sure it was going to be premium. So it's not in the premium section. It's not in the flying boat tree. Well, that's not entirely a flying boat tree. It's a bomber tree with one flying boat in it. Anyway, let's take a look at the Key 83. Oh, it is just gorgeous. This thing's going to be fun to fly, man. All right, we've got two 20s and two 30s. I really wonder what the muzzle velocity of these 30s are, because I know some Japanese cannons can be very arcish. The shells arc due to low muzzle velocity, especially those funny little 40s. But once they hit, those things are great. Anyway, so secondary weapons, you can carry 250 kilos. That's kind of how most Japanese aircraft were. We've got defaults, universal, ground targets, tracers, and stealth. Actually, I'm curious. We do have ground targets. Oh yeah, look at this. See, these are not all ground target rounds are created equal. When you look at the HVAP rounds that the Germans use for their 30s, you're gonna see very high millimeters of penetration up into the 80s and whatnot. Here you only see maximum 90 degrees at 10 meters away. That means if you fire, you're gonna hit the frickin' ground. 23 millimeters. So the ground rounds are more or less poop. You're not going to be tank killing with this thing. But I tell you what, this thing should fly like a dream, and it's a bomber killer for sure. New 30 millimeter cannons. You got stealth rounds. Look at that. The stealth rounds have as much penetration as the ground targets. And everything else just has like 6 millimeters. It's interesting. 30 mils, man. Them 30 mils. All right, so let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I think that's about it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know which vehicle you'd like to see some gameplay of, and I'll get right on that. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the first iteration of the dev server. Stay tuned to the channel. We're going to have more previews, more dev server footage. Now, it's kind of up to debate when the patch is going to drop. In the past, sometimes dev server comes up about 2 weeks before the patch drops. Other times, the dev server popped up the day before the patch dropped. But I feel like that might be the trend lately, so I'm expecting the patch to drop sooner rather than later. As I said, stay tuned to the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you'd like to see more information, more gameplay on, and I'll get right on that. Thanks for watching.